Y'all, this is Acacia, a very successful model, Clark Atlanta University graduate, and currently just recently announced her pageantry and also the new creative director for the Miss Black USA pageant. I'll let her go over the rest of her accolades and things as well, and then I'll let the contestants introduce themselves and our other team members as well, who are also HBCU, either students or graduates.
Awesome. Well, first, I just want to say thank y'all for having me. I'm so excited just to be kind of getting the opportunity to chat with you all. I forget a lot of work that I've done. I don't know why. It's just this thing. I'm always, I guess, focused on the next thing. But I've worked with some of the biggest fashion and beauty brands. I've been in a couple of music videos. And also next week, I'll be filming Wild 'N Out. So I'm really excited about that. I don't know if any of you watched that. But yes, I'll be competing for Miss California USA in September and creative director of Miss Black USA. So I've already started working with their queen on content and cleaning up their social media and things like that. So really, really excited. I just tell people I love helping visions come to life in whatever capacity that is, whether it's song, a music video, a photo shoot, a commercial, a post on Instagram. I feel like that's one of my gifts, and that's what I love doing. So any way that I can help from behind the camera, planning, whatever that may look like, that's what I do for a living. And I'm excited to get to know each and every one of you. And yeah, this is gonna be fun because I'm an open book.
Yeah, I feel like you humbled that down a real good amount. Like I'm sitting here thinking like Equate hair brand, I believe. I thought I saw Dark and Lovely somewhere once upon a time. Migos music video.
But yes, I am in pretty much every beauty supply store. I go to New York. Most of the time it's like every month, or sometimes we'll skip a month and we'll shoot 2-a-days. And so we'll shoot like wigs, locks, like whatever you see in the beauty supply store, we shoot that literally all day long. I think I've worked with Migos, Blueface, Lil Baby, Jacquees. I've done music videos for them.
Good evening. My name is Shayla Brene Hughes. I am a graduating senior from Charles Herbert Flowers High School, and I'm going to Howard University in the fall, and my major is criminology.
Good afternoon. My name is Kamaya Jacqueline Collins. I'm a graduating senior at Laurel graduated senior at Laurel High School, and I'll be attending North Carolina Central University, majoring in mass communications and journalism in the fall.
Hello, my name is Diamond Drayton, and I'm a graduating senior at Charles Herbert Flowers High School. I'll be attending Tuskegee University in the fall, majoring in pre-veterinary medicine.
Awesome. So the floor is yours, Acacia. We're excited to hear about not only you providing some photo shoot and posing tips for these ladies, but also talking about your journey and experience in pageants as well.
First, I just want to say, with all these majors that I'm hearing, when y'all are rich, don't forget about me. But no, I'm super excited to be here. When I first was asked to do this, I was like, oh my goodness, like, what am I gonna say? I always get not nervous, but just anxious because there's so many, I guess I've received so much feedback on this journey that sometimes it's hard to be like, okay, well, this person says walk like this and talk like this and do that. And it's so hard to, I guess, not be yourself, but it's hard to be authentic and to stand out when, you know, you're influenced by so many people and they're telling you to do certain things. So I'll just share, you know, what has helped me. And one of the things that helped me as far as posing, and it's gonna sound super crazy, but I still do it until this day. I watch music videos because in a lot of photo shoots, you don't have a whole lot of time to get the shot. So versus posing is more so movement, because if you're working with a good photographer, they're gonna capture you moving. They're gonna get the shot. And it also helps because a lot of times if you're stiff and you look uncomfortable, it's probably because you're trying to pose versus you're just Beyonce, you know, you're in your element, your hair is blowing and you just, you know, you're just vibing. And one time I was on set and I was telling this girl, she was just so nervous. And I was like, it's not posing, like no poses, just vibes. Cause I see that on social media a lot. And like everybody started laughing, but it really is one of those things where you just have to be comfortable. So if that's playing different music, if that's having certain people there, I know starting out is probably not possible all the time to have a friend. But on certain sets, I know I bring my friends, especially for test shoots. That's another thing I highly recommend is shooting with different photographers, shooting in studio and on location, because what you'll find is, for me, I shoot a lot of beauty, which was literally this. So when I got in front of the camera to shoot like full body, I was just like, wow, what do I do with my hands? Like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Am I really a model? And so even being here in LA, it was kind of a wake-up call, because you have your Pretty Little Things, Fashion Nova, Boohoo, you have H&M, you have Forever 21. They shoot all of that here. So before moving here, it was, you know, really something that I had to focus on was me posing and getting certain shots. I also don't shop a whole lot. So that was another thing. It's like, if I want to see myself on these websites, I have to actually look at those websites. And so that's just something that I really want you guys to start thinking about, because if you want to do beauty, then when you go in the store, you need to be paying attention to all of the campaigns that are up, all of the ads that are up, and just really, I guess, staying in tune with what's happening right now. For me, I try to not just shop, but I try to look at things as far as like posing when they're selling certain items, because it's one thing to be cute, but if you can't sell a product, you're probably not going to get work. That's just the way the game works. So definitely just making sure that you're selling a product or a service. I think that's so important if you're looking to go into modeling. I think that's been the biggest thing that I had to not just learn, but it was like, it changes sometimes. I know I only wanted to work with makeup and skincare brands. Now I'm like, okay, I'm getting sick of this. And at first it was hair. Then my hair started falling out. I was like, you know what? I need to find something else to do. So, and I think that's the beauty in all of this, is that you can be multi-hyphenated. You don't have to just be a model. You could be a model and be studying pre-med. You know, you could be a model and still go to law school. That actually, it brands you in a completely different category from the girls who just model. Because what a lot of people don't know is that not only did I go to Clark, but I studied communications and concentrated in film. So it's like, I could be behind the camera and I could be planning this whole thing. So I think it's just, that's the beauty in it, if that makes sense.
I think that's why I'm gonna let them ask any questions, but also, you know, try to navigate the convo to make sure, you know, help them out as well. But I think a few things that you said, one of selling a product, whether it's a product or selling the theme or selling the image, where for them, their upcoming photo shoot is great. We're reenacting this music video. How often have you watched, like you said, the music video to know some of those different moves or demeanors or, you know, different types of movement that they used or did in the video? So what are you selling? You're selling people to support you, whether that's through votes, likes, engagement, support through, you know, purchasing a ticket for you or supporting you as a sponsor. All of that should be delivered through your performance in that photo shoot. And then I also told them about you being a student and modeling at the same time and communicating with the professors, hey, I'm gonna miss class this entire week, and being booked and still graduating and prioritizing your time and time management and different priorities and commitments. Same with Breland, currently running for her current title with other titles and studying for the MCAT, and now applying it. It's like, okay, cool, while still volunteering for this pageant. We all got to manage that time. And so if you could speak a little more on that and time management, but I think maybe one of them may have had a question. If not, that would be.
Kia, can you talk a little bit about time management first, and then we can ask our questions? I think that's a really important topic.
Okay, absolutely. I would say so I transferred to Clark. Just a little bit of background about me. So I competed for Miss Mississippi USA 3 years in a row, got second runner up both years. And at the time I had a pageant coach who was like my mentor / mom now. And she was like, you know what? I think you should just get out of Mississippi. And at that point, it wasn't that I didn't understand time management. I didn't have anything to manage. It was so much free time. I was like in a relationship, like almost married, like out of high school. She was just like, girl, this is not it. And I actually told her, I was just like, I feel like I could do so much more. And I just feel like I have so many ideas and so much creativity that's just being wasted here. I don't know if anybody knows anything about Mississippi, but there's not much there. So I moved to Atlanta. I went to Clark on my visit, and literally when I stepped foot on Clark campus, I was like, I'm coming here. It was literally just a hub of bosses, really the AUC in general. So my junior year was when I started getting booked a lot, because it took a year or two of me just really putting myself out there and working on my social media and just branding myself. Junior year got a little rocky because it was like most of my work was in LA and New York. So then I had the task of telling my professor, like, okay, do I take my exam or do I go to New York to meet with CoverGirl? It was literally just back and forth. And my junior year, luckily, that's when I started getting into my major, and it made sense for my professors. But a lot of people looked at it as like, oh, she's not in class. Like, how's she passing? Or like, how did she have a A and I got a C? But what a lot of people didn't see was that I turned my stuff in early. So where a lot of people took their exams on the 12th, I had to take mine on the 5th and literally teach myself the last week of class, whatever it was that we were going over. So I think time management is just one of those things where, for me, it made sense because it was still somewhat in my field. So where I was studying film and things like that, I was also missing class to go to like film screenings and carpets and things like that. So it made sense, and I had to explain that to my professors. And I think there was one day where my professor tried to not let me take my exam because this was the New York CoverGirl meeting that I had. And she was just like, I'm not gonna let you make it up, whatever. She was like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You know, you pay to go here. I don't understand why you would want to take your exam. And I was just like, well, I'm not on a full scholarship, 1. 2, if I don't go, like, this actually pays for my school. So, you know, you can look at it both ways. It was also an accounting class, which had nothing to do with my major. So I think you just have to use your discernment and use your best judgment. Because I had an A in the class and I missed my exam. I think I ended up getting a C. And this was my second semester, sophomore year. And that C actually kept me from graduating summa cum laude to this day. So it's just one of those things where you just have to use your judgment, because I could have easily stayed and took my exam and then not met with like CEOs of major beauty companies. But that's just not how I wish to live my life.
How was your HBCU experience outside of pageantry? Like, how was your HBCU experience at the illustrious Clark Atlanta University? How was your experience there?
Okay, ready to get the tea ready. I'm like Wendy Williams. But honestly, overall, it was a great experience. I came from a predominantly white town, school. I was the only Black girl that did a lot of stuff. And I didn't realize how much that almost brainwashed me. So coming to Clark was really a cultural shock. I will be honest, it was a cultural shock. I didn't know a lot of the rap songs. I said, who is Gunna? Who is Young Nudie? Who are all of these Atlanta rappers? I don't know any of them. I didn't know how to twerk. I got it down packed now. Thank you. I just didn't know how to do a lot of stuff. And coming to Clark was really like the reinvention of myself. That I'm just like, wow, I wonder if had I been around this many Black people, like dope Black people. I guess I should say I felt, just as it was a cultural shock, I felt out of place a lot of times. And I'm thankful for that now. So it just really taught me how to think, I guess just how to think for myself and not try to fit in certain places. I think that's probably the biggest thing, because our motto is find a way to make one. And that's what I've been doing ever since. But yeah, overall, very liberating experience. I wouldn't have went anywhere else. I tell people that all the time. Clark welcomed me with open arms. My first day, I think I met a DJ who had his own radio station. It was just like a lot of people that was just like hitting it. These people were like 18 at the time. And I was just like, wow, so I've been wasting a lot of time. That's what I feel like.
You shared some information with me or touched on a few points of like some pros and cons of being a Black woman in the pageant world. I would love if you could share more information about that, your experience with that, and then we could jump right into some questions with the contestants.
It's two different worlds, I feel like. And I'll just give you all a little bit of insight. So I actually applied to be the PR and marketing director over the Miss Black USA organization. It's been almost a year. Didn't hear anything back from them. And then about 2 months ago, the CEO reached out to me, wanted to bring me on board. But I was hesitant because I had not announced that I was competing for Miss California USA. So I was like, do I tell her? What do I say? Is the organization going to be okay with me taking this job? Because it's really like, I guess it's like going to one HBCU and then working for another one. It's not like bad, but it's just one of those things where I didn't want it to be a conflict of interest. And so I was just like, you know what? It's really not anybody's business. But being a Black woman in this industry, I think that is really tough because you have to be 3 times better than your white colleagues and your white counterparts. And I am okay with that. You have to be able to speak the language of everybody. I'm not saying like not be yourself, but you have to realize at the end of the day that it really is an organization that wasn't founded for us. And that was my issue with it. I was just like, I could do 2 things. I could either be offended or I could stay in this organization and be a mediator for Black people. And as a Black woman, I feel so much better competing here, only because I feel like I'm encouraged to be myself. I don't have to not wear braids because the pageant doesn't have people who do ethnic hair. That's the thing in Mississippi. They don't have a ethnic hair sponsor, which is so weird, but that's another story for another day. But then there's the Miss Black USA organization. This organization was founded for Black women, but the problem is they don't have the resources that the Miss California USA organization has. So that's where it becomes a little bit difficult because I'm like, okay, now I have to stand in between these 2 organizations and I have to use my influence and really just the resources that I get to compete. A lot of people aren't thinking about it this way, but for the people who won't sponsor me or for the people who will sponsor me, I'm still going to be a vessel to the girls that's competing for Miss Black USA. So all I'm saying is don't be the reason why people are like, yeah, that's why. That's the reason. Even as a Black model here in LA, they say, it's not a lot of Black models. I'm like, I go out to dinner with 10 Black models every night here in LA. So it's just weird because that's why I try to show up to set early. I'm gonna stay later if I need to get the shot because we really do have to stick up and represent for each other because what you do, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, this is why we don't hire Black models. That's my only thing. And that's why I go so hard because I don't even want people to look at me and be like, you're the best Black girl. Or, like, yeah, you're Black. Like, yeah, I'm Black. I can't help that. I don't even want that to be a thought that people have. I just want people to just see how hard I work and be like, dang, it don't even really matter, That's just the world that we live in. So I just say, coming from a Black woman in this industry, don't let that be the first thing people think or say about you is that you're Black. Please have more to come, which I'm sure you all will, because that's one thing about HBCUs. We the cream of the crop.
Listen, you dropping so many gems and jewels. I'm not even interested in national and international pageantry, and I'm just like, listen, I already peeped some of those things. One of the main things that jumped out, even from our conversation off the grid, for both of you and Breland as well, strategy, moving strategically. which these young ladies see it, but they don't see it yet, of the small things and how they add up. And it's not just thinking about what you're doing now, but thinking about the things that you're doing now and how they will add up to achieve everything that you want or anything that you want in the future. If y'all knew the things that Breland and Acacia are planning for in the future, even if you just connect the dots and see what they're doing now. If Breland wants to become a doctor, or when she's becoming a doctor, she is on this platform. Now she's a pageant queen. And now from the pageant queen, she also has Beauty and Brains and her YouTube. Connect those together, and now I have clients that saw, oh, I'm a doctor, and now I'm in, and I saw your journey. I'm in Maryland now, and now I want to be one of your patients. Branding, strategic moving, connecting, boom. Acacia, she's competing for this. She's the director for this. She models, she does these things, and she has other things that she does and is continuing to work on. Once you connect all of those strategically, she says she's the middle person for Miss Black USA and Miss California USA. So that moving strategically is one thing that definitely pops out. I tell them all the time to answer some of the questions they have. Whatever you want, you can get. Move strategically. This pageant is strategic. Y'all are connecting with powerful women. And again, for me, I'm just excited to have these young ladies as contestants and to see their journey as the first cohort of 27 girls applying, and there's only 5 here, and they're progressing fast and well with already their own accomplishments. So when they hit the ground running, it's like y'all don't even see the strategy of y'all being in it. Well, some of them do, but most of them do, I believe. But it'll hit harder. So that strategy is one thing. Definitely appreciate. So I'll open up the floor now for the ladies, or Breland, if you had something to say as well, because I saw you in the comments and preach, and yeah.
So I just would encourage you guys to kind of like find your why in pageantry. That way, everything that you guys do, it makes sense. And then when you see yourself in 2 months from now, 2 years from now, you can kind of work backwards, and that's where the strategy comes. So I can say, oh, I know what I want to do in 6 months. I know what I want to do or who I want to be in 6 years. So I can now start doing things that make sense here and now. So kind of on a tip to both what you were saying, and then also as far as the strategy goes.
I'll kind of tag in. But I definitely like what you said about the different systems and learning what those systems are. So definitely like knowing the difference in the systems, I think is extremely important. But as far as any pageant experience, I always say, do your research and try to have your own experience, but also know what you're getting yourself into. Because if it's a large pageant system, more than likely you can Google. So yeah, I think that being strategic, knowing the different systems, and like being okay with saying like, no, that's not for me.
And then last thing I'm going to add to that is that specifically for you girls, if you want to consider doing your HBCU pageant, that's a whole nother thing, because I think that sometimes they're just all so different. Like the umbrella of pageantry is so different. And even if you do like a Greek pageant, that's going to be different than you doing the Miss Freshman pageant, which is going to be different than you doing your school title pageant. And there's going to be different people in charge of it and kind of a different vibe. Like something, obviously none of you guys are going to Spelman, but between the two pageants that you could do, as far as Miss Marina White and Miss Spelman College, they both had 2 completely different energies. It's very similar to like Miss USA versus Miss America, and as well as different people who were in charge. Miss Morehouse College was voted on by all guys, and so who she had to represent and how she had to look was different than a person who was representing all girls, who girls vote on. And so that was something that you're thinking about. I see sometimes at other schools, people who are like Miss Freshman, Miss Sophomore, Miss Junior, then end up having their school's title. And I think, wow, like she planned that so well. And I'm like, if you would have went to my school, you would have had to know from the get-go. Like if I want to be Miss Spelman, I need to get good with the girls, because you can't be over at Morehouse and you could be a guy's girl, but they're not the ones who are going to vote for you. So keep that in mind if you want to do pageants at your school, because who you make friends with and your reputation is all going to play a part in your success in pageants at your school.
I want to piggyback off of that, Breland. Yes, I will definitely say that did the different pageants give you a different vibe. I was the chair of the freshman pageant at Howard and the Miss Co-Ops pageant, which normally Miss Howard comes from the School of Co-Ops, and it's two different vibes. When you're in a freshman pageant, it's really like there to try to make friends and try to build relationships that help you throughout your tenure at Howard University. Whereas Miss Co-Ops is literally like, I'm in this because I want to be Miss Howard and I want to represent this university on a higher, forefront. So it's definitely a different vibe for each pageant.
Yes. Y'all are dropping amazing information, amazing tips. Kamaya asks what's Co-Ops, and then we'll open up the floor for the ladies to ask questions during this last 10 minutes of the call.
Yes, Co-Ops is College of Arts and Sciences. So that's normally like your humanity majors. So like your science majors, so English, those type of majors. I was in Co-Ops, but I was in fine arts, which is like a whole different world. So yeah.
Awesome. So we'll open the floor for you ladies to ask some questions about any of the topics that we talked about tonight.
So it's not directly related to something that we talked about, but it does have something to do with it. Just in your career, I know there were times where you probably felt like you couldn't do it, or there were like times where because I feel like that, and I'm still starting out, where I'm just like, man, I just want to give up. But what like really kept you going, and then also balancing college and your work, like what was the motivation that kept you from just saying like, oh, I can't do this, it's too much for me, or being like overwhelmed, and then just like relaxing yourself and like seeing the bigger picture?
Oh, this is for me. Oh, okay, sorry. I'm like seeing all these screens. I think starting out, my little brother, that's like my best friend. So that's like my all-time inspiration. So for those of you who don't know, my little brother is autistic. And so I guess being in the entertainment industry and like being a creative person, like he has his little fuzzy straws that he likes to bend and play with. And I always thought about, my little brother used to not be able to talk. And I was just like, he wasn't able to talk, but he still figured out a way to communicate and still like share when he wanted something, or when something was hurting, or like even at school. And it just inspired me that like, no matter how hard things get, like there's always a way to express who you are and what you want to do. So I also think that's why it's important to be multi-hyphenated, because to be honest, I don't want to model for the rest of my life. I'm trying to hit me a Tyra Banks and retire at 32. But even with that, she gave us America's Next Top Model, where she produced, directed, and hosted, and then cultivated other models' career. So I would say just having multiple things that still get you to where you want to be that you're doing, so that you don't burn out.
My question is, when you were younger, like when you were like a kid, maybe, how everybody says, oh, I want to be a police officer. What did you used to want to be? And then like, maybe like in high school, you got serious about what you wanted to be. So what did you say you wanted to be when you were like a kid, and then like high school, and then you kind of turned out now, basically, if that makes sense.
So, y'all promise not to laugh at me. But when I was little, I actually wanted to be a NASCAR driver. I kid you not. I love Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt. Anyway, so I grew up around a family who like loved cars, like me. And I think like 3 or 4, my brother and 3 of my cousins, we all had the same car. And that's just like, that's always been our thing, because my family buys, sell, and fix cars. So when I was little, up until maybe like elementary school, I wanted to be a NASCAR driver. And then from elementary school until my freshman year of college, I wanted to play in the WNBA, or play basketball my whole life. Got hurt, injured. I didn't want to go to a 2-year school because I was supposed to have surgery on my knee, and I only had scholarships from 2-year schools. So if you do the math, I would have had to have surgery on my knee, which would have put me out for a year. Then my second year at the junior college would have been me trying to recover from having surgery, from having a knee injury. And I quit. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I also didn't want my knee to be cut open and not even knowing if like my future in basketball was still there. So that's actually what made me kind of take this serious, because there was this point, really my whole first semester of college, where I didn't really know myself because I didn't fit in a job anymore. I always had my teammates, and so pageantry kind of reintroduced being around like-minded people, because I was always a nerd. I love school, 4.0, every single time. Like, it was just me figuring out, okay, I feel like a unicorn here. I feel like a unicorn here. I feel like a unicorn here. So yeah, it went from NASCAR driver to WNBA player. And honestly, it wasn't even a model. In between that, I psyched myself out and I lied to myself 2 semesters at Clark by saying that I wanted to, what is it called? Sports journalism. Because I wouldn't let go of sports, but I love being on camera. I love talking, as you can see. We'll be here all day. But thankfully, when I went to Clark, I was open-minded, and they had something called, The Sideline, I think. But basically, it was where students would commentate the games on camera. And I got up there, I was reading the teleprompter. They had typed out what to say. I was really good at it because I did it at my high school. But I was like, I can't see myself reading something that somebody else typed out for me every single day of my life. So I changed my concentration. It was in the same field because it was under communications, but I was like, there's no way. I feel too creative for this. So yeah, I've had so many different things that I wanted to be. And now what I am is not what I want to be, because I don't want to model for the rest of my life. So it's okay to switch it up.
I was gonna ask, like, how would you handle like working with people who are hard to work with?
When you say people, what do you mean? Like, is this a stylist? Is this a music artist? What type of person is this? Because I have different answers.
I would say like in general, or like maybe in like when you did pageants.
Oh, okay, in pageants. Honestly, in pageants, this is gonna sound so bad, but it's easy to deal with people that you don't like, because all you have to do is pretend that you like them. That's what everybody else do, which is actually my love-hate relationship with that. But I don't really have situations where I don't like people. I guess it's because I compartmentalize why I'm in a room. I know honestly, they say you compete in this pageant to make friends and all of this, but I don't talk to a whole lot of girls that I competed with. I actually am cooler with girls who are in other systems or who competed in other states that we just met on social media. So yeah, I would just say, and I know it's gonna sound cliche, to be yourself, but also be okay with the fact that a lot of people are still figuring out what themselves look like.
The question was, do you ever, because you said that you majored in you said communications, right? That's the field that I want to go down, but I was just wondering if you ever were gonna like go back on your degree, like maybe use your degree later in life, like, because you said you don't want to be a model all your life. It's like, would you ever like go behind the camera? Would you ever, because I just want to know, because I know that there's a lot of things that I can use in my degree, because eventually I want to be like a newscaster or just something in the news field, international journalism. But I was just wondering like if you're ever going to use the degree later in life.
So I actually do. That was one of the things that helped me get the creative direction position at Miss Black USA. So when I first went, it was kind of like news anchor, newscasting, journalism. But that was under, I don't remember exactly what, I guess like subfield it was, but I changed it from communications in that realm to radio, television, and film. So I want to have my own creative agency, production company, talent agency, all of that in-house. And so when I went to Clark, we learned about film, but the biggest thing that we learned about was production. So like pre-planning and creating call sheets and mood boards and things like that. Like that's the type of stuff that I use. So I would say that I use my degree a lot. I actually produced my first campaign, my first major campaign, I want to say, when was it, maybe 4 days ago? I haven't posted it just yet, but I had to hire the models, create the call sheets, literally everything that we did in class. I had to do that. So I think it just depends on, you know, what you want to be in. But if you want to be in journalism, communications, can't go wrong.
These are some great questions, ladies. Acacia, thank you so much for joining us tonight and being not only a leading example and great sister, great mentor, and overall great queen. We really do appreciate you joining us tonight and giving these tips and sharing this with the ladies. Is there any way, yeah, boom, there it is. I was just about to say, can you drop your social media for the ladies to contact you, follow you, and ask for any advice in the future? And two last things. Can you tell us, describe or say what a queen is in one word? So a queen is this, and then you say it. That's one thing. And then give the ladies one piece of advice for their performance coming up for this pageant.
A queen is undeniable. And if I could give you one piece of advice, is not to second guess yourself.
Y'all just connected with Miss McBride. Y'all got her Instagram, followed. You know, she's very down to earth, as you can see. Yeah, and so we definitely appreciate you stopping past and connecting with these ladies. And look forward to having your continued support and seeing the great things that you do as well with your journey.
Thank you.